Jim Edwards here, joined online by Michael Venom Page. He's, of course, going to be taking part in the Bellator welterweight tournament coming up for the rest of 2018 and no doubt into 2019. Michael, always good to talk to you, mate. Tell me, first of all, how did this... I'm guessing you've signed a new contract with Bellator. What are kind of the details on that, and how excited are you to, I guess, re-sign and be part of this tournament?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, the tournament is definitely a major factor. I think it's going to be one of the most spoken about events in MMA, especially with the kind of names that we got in the division. In my opinion, it's one of the best divisions in the world across the board of MMA. So it's exciting to be a part of it. And I'm happy to extend my contract with Bellator. I'm just looking forward to showing the world what I can do on the next level.
Are you able to tell me, like, how many fights this one's for? Is it for a duration? Like, what's the deal with it?
Yeah, 6 fights. So it'll be a 6-fight deal. Obviously, three of those fights are going to be for the tournament, and then the next 3 fights are going to be me defending the belt.
Good stuff. That's a good way to look at it, of course. So, I mean, like, when did you first find out about this kind of tournament structure, and how much did it kind of, I guess, develop over time? When did you know who was going to be involved and who wasn't?
Yeah, there was a lot of ups and downs in terms of what was going on. It wasn't quite clear to begin with. It wasn't quite clear to begin with, but when I heard, before we even got to started the negotiations properly, when I heard that, Mike contacted me to say, we're looking to do a tournament. Would you be interested in doing it? And this is what they know this is the kind of idea that they're going to have to do it. Blah blah blah. Gave me a few details. They said they haven't got anybody locked in yet. She's just asking if I would be interested in it. And I was like, yeah, 100%, yeah. And then, he's like, cool, that's good to know. Later on, we got back in terms of actually, negotiating the deal. But one of my main points was, in terms of being involved in this tournament, is that I want Paul Daley first fight, and that's the only way I really want to be like. It wasn't a major factor for my contract, but I said in terms of being in this tournament, I want that guy straight away.
So
and he said, yeah, they're still trying to finalize things with him, but 100%, they're happy for that to make that happen. So that was for me. It was just easy. It just made things easier from there. After that, it was just a case of getting the terms of my contract correct, which having Paradigm on my side. The likes of Audi and Tim, negotiating on my behalf, it just made it 10 times easier, made it 10 times smoother, and we all got to a place that we were happy, and now we're moving forward.
Good stuff. Obviously, like you were saying there, Daley didn't sign up straight away. Originally, were you at all worried that he wasn't going to sign on the dotted line?
I was furious, and the thing is, I actually found out when I got to New York. So now, all of my side is wrapped up. I wrongly assumed that it was wrapped up on the other side because no one had mentioned it to me. No one had said otherwise. So they said, yeah, we're going to go out to New York because they've just signed a new deal with the Zone, and they want us to promote the tournament and obviously excited to announce a fight. But when I got over there, Paul Daley ended up saying that. Announcing the names of the fighters that were going to be in it, and saying that he's been left out. And it was all nonsense. Again, he was. It just feels like he's always constantly trying to find a way out of fighting me. And Bellator were happy to actually just leave him. And to be fair, I was kind of done with it all again. And then he realized the train was leaving and decided to run back and jump on last minute. So either way, I think it's happening now. I'm not even going to get too excited until I get the bout agreement and I hear that he signed his bout agreement, and it's actually on the dotted line. So I'm not even going to get too excited just yet. But for now, it looks like it's on track.
When is on track? Like, when do you want this to happen? When do you think it's going to happen?
I'm still waiting to get confirmation for everything. I'm not entirely sure yet. Either way, all I know is I'm in the tournament, and like I said, in my head, he's my next opponent. It's definitely going to be in the UK because we're getting something that I mentioned. So that kind of fight can't be in the States. It wouldn't make any sense at all. It's probably going to be one of the most. Again, that fight by itself is probably one of the most spoken about fights for a while. And you rarely get two UK fighters that can create this kind of noise. So it has to be in the UK. So it'll be sometime this year, and I'm hoping soon. The tournament itself kicks off in September, so I'm sure it's not going to be too far after that.
So, you and I know, maybe not, I guess, people across the pond, that it's all well and good the fight happening in the UK, but where it happens in the UK is a massive thing. Do you think this is a London fight, or do you think it could actually go north?
It's definitely a London fight. Like I said, there's no point. The fact is, he's main evented there twice now for Bellator, and it's definitely going to be that kind of. It 100% has to be London fight. It has to be O2 or Wembley. I don't see it being anywhere else, in my opinion. So I doubt they'd put it up north.
So this, we're living in an age at the moment, especially where we're seeing a lot more kind of theatrics put into mixed martial arts in terms of, fake feuds and kind of like Brock Lesnar charging into a cage and confronting Daniel Cormier stuff. But look, I know we're not all partisan to that, but do you believe this really is this is an old school rivalry, isn't it? There's bad feelings between you two.
I hate the guy. I don't like him at all. I think he's an absolute prick, dickhead, whatever other disrespectful words you want to put up there, just throw it in, because I don't like him. It's as simple as that. I have zero respect for him, and especially the way he's gone about this. And literally, when it first all came up, like I said, I think I've spoken to you about this before, it's purely because he started bad-mouthing me, or just being a bit more disrespectful in how he was. I know he's a bit of a character, can be a bit of a loudmouth, but I found it funny that he had never said it while I was sat next to him. And I think I don't even think I'd be as annoyed if he was right next to me being Paul, the Paul Daley I've seen before, and he was running his mouth. At least it's on even ground. It gives me a chance to respond. But when you're just doing it randomly on random people's websites and things like that, it's uncalled for. So it's not necessary. And I thought we were at a different respect level. So like I said, I just have zero respect for him. No time. I just can't wait to take his head off. We've all kind of thought, or hoped at least, this fight was going to happen for a very long time now, years almost.
I know you've had opponents in between then, but have you been planning for this fight with Daley? And in terms of stuff you've been working on, are there traps that you've been working on and things like that, or do you kind of now have to kind of really focus in on this fight because it's actually on the table?
I would never train for a fight that's not on the table. So I've never trained for the likes of Paul Daley. You can always think about what you would do to that type of fighter. Usually when you're watching that type of fighter, if I'm watching him fight, I would kind of, in that moment, I might be like, oh yeah, I'd probably do this or I'd probably do that. But I've never trained for him because he's never been an option. And it's because of him that he's never been an option. Scott Coker's come out and explained that he's, turned down the fight. He wasn't happy, and it's multiple times that Bellator have actually approached him to actually accept this fight, and it's multiple times that he's turned it down. Now, the very first time, we actually mentioned him before, but I'll say the very first official time that I was asked to fight Paul Daley, it was actually when I ended up fighting Cyborg. This is 2 years ago, and if you guys remember, he had Koscheck. He was supposed to fight Koscheck, and I was supposed to fight Fernando Gonzalez. And Fernando Gonzalez, this is all in the space of 2 weeks or 2 weeks out from the fight. Fernando Gonzalez was unable to make it. I think his visa didn't get accepted, so that fight was cancelled. And Koscheck, I can't even remember if he got injured or something that happened to him, so he was unable to do it. I was contacted by the matchmakers for Bellator, and they said, you know what, we might need something big to happen because it's falling apart. Some of our main fighters are dropping off. Would you be happy to fight Paul Daley? Before the guy even finished his sentence, we had said yes, like immediately. And within the next couple of days, they said, okay, scrap that. Like he's not happy to have that fight, and that was from then. So, and it's been, I think, probably about four times since then, 4 or 5 times since then that we've asked for the fight and it's not happened, and it's all been one-sided. He's just saying no, not interested, not interested. And finally, he's been caught in a corner. He's going to have the fight.
Does it annoy you somewhat that there is kind of the narrative out there with some people that it's actually you that's been avoiding this fight and not him?
Yeah, that's because he's put, they're his fans, a lot of them, and he's putting out, because even down to this the other day, he agreed all terms on his contract and then made like the dumbest excuse not sign the contract in the end, and then announced that it was Bellator that didn't want him to fight, which shows you the type of character he is. Like I said, this is why I have no respect for him. It's better to stay silent than just come up on the thing and lie. But either way, like I said, at the end of the day, when I knock you out, nobody's going to be talking about who was chasing who and who was avoiding who. So I'm not interested. The fight's there, and I'm happy.
When you approach this fight, how easy do you think this is going to be for you? Obviously, your last fight, you put on a bit of a clinic, and you've done that several times in the past. But how easy is this fight going to be for you when it does materialise?
Weirdly enough, as I say, it's funny because I've said from before, I find the more experienced fighters, the more predictable, and it's going to look like similar to my last fight. It's going to be, I'm going to dissect him, and when I do knock him down, he's the person I won't let get back up. You know what I mean? I'll be on top of him, and I'll show everybody a different side of me, a different game, and I just look forward to doing that. And it's more a case of just shutting him up, because after this point, he's going to have nothing to say. In fact, he should just hang up his gloves, because I don't think anybody's going to be interested anymore.
You've obviously, this is going to be the first round of the tournament, but when you look up and down the list of all the other kind of opponents that you could possibly be matched up with later in the rounds, like who do you kind of look at and think he's going to be in there for the long haul? You've
done a lot of interviews with me now, and the only person I've ever really targeted name-wise is Paul Daley, and that's because it was personal. Outside of that, I've never been interested in it. It's exactly the same. I come from a competition background. It was the same then. You have to be able to beat everybody in that tournament if you're saying that you're going to win. It doesn't really matter what side you end up on, what position you're at, who I'm going to be fighting next. I genuinely don't care. I feel like I'm the most awkward, the most dangerous fighter in that tournament, and everybody's going to be gunning for me. So I say gunning for me. I'm like more worried about where they're going to be positioned against me. Either way, I'm aiming for the top. I've got business to handle first in Paul Daley, and after that, I was going for the belt.
For sure, and like obviously all these fights are going to be 5-rounders as well. Like, how do you have to change anything, I guess, in your approach to these fights or not, or is it just everything's the same for you?
What, in terms of 5-round fights or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, just like perhaps the way you approach your training in terms of a differentiation between the 3 rounds and the 5 rounds. Like, I can't recall you being in a 5-round fight before.
Yeah, weirdly enough, and it's funny because this is why I love my coach. I've been training for a 5-round fight, like from years ago. He's just like, we just gotta get prepared for whatever decides to come up, because an opportunity may pop up or may present itself, and you need to be ready to go 5 rounds. And we've been training for that. It's just the case of doing that and a little bit more. Train for more rounds. To keep train for 7 or 8 rounds, and 5 rounds is going to be easy.
last time we were in London for when you were fighting on the Bellator London card earlier this year, your teammates Mike Shipman and Amir Alabazi also won that night, and it was a bit of a clean sweep for London Shoot. Is that something you'd kind of want to repeat? Do you want those guys also on the card with you?
Oh no, yeah, I'd love my teammates, and like I said, you named a couple, but there are so many more. You know, Norbert's another fighter that's coming up, and has actually got a contract now with Bellator. So I'd love to see him. You know, I'd like to fight on a show with those guys. You got the Basharat brothers. I'm sure you've seen them before. These guys are absolutely insane. Like Javid and Farid. These guys are, you know, they're like an upgraded version of myself. Like it's gonna be, and they're so young in the sport. But they're going to be absolutely amazing. Or they are absolutely amazing. I'd like for them to be displayed on those kind of shows, and you know, especially with the zone involved and the ability that they're going to have to, you know, be, you know, pushed out to the masses. I would love for all of those guys to be on, and 100% I'd expect a clean sweep again.
Just lastly, kind of like, you know, we're in late July now, so you're hoping this fight's going to happen before the end of the year. Like, how do you kind of approach training for the next few months in terms of, you know, how hard are you going to be going? Are you going to be in fight camp? When does that kind of happen?
It's funny, like I've never quite understood. I think it's because of the type of coach I've had. I've never quite understood fight camp. We're always in the camp. It just doesn't stop, and this is what I guess is people on the outside they have alternate views of that. You know, you get because you're pushing your body so much, you get a lot of injuries and so on and so forth. But we just love what we do, man. We love learning new things. We love improving. So it doesn't really feel like a fight camp. The only thing that changes is you're now being more specific because you've actually got an opponent who has, you know, their own set of moves. Their own set of moves.
Hello?
So now you're being a lot more specific about who you're actually targeting, and that's the only thing that really changes. So I know a lot of people, they're kind of like, oh, you know, our camp starts now. But I don't understand what you were doing beforehand. So yeah, we just train non-stop. We just love it so much. We just non-stop work.
Just lastly, I guess what's the message to Daley in this kind of interim period in where he's probably got a contract or is going to have one soon for this fight? Like, what's kind of the message? Because this fight feels closer than it's probably ever been before in terms of actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, for me, I just like I said before, just sign the contract. Like, stop talking now. You know, I like to play games online. I'm serious about winning this fight. But he likes he talks it, you know, he wants it, and then doesn't accept the fight, and it's happened multiple times. The fact that you can run at me as if you wanted to fight me outside of the cage, and then the second Bellator give you the contract, you're like, no, I don't want to fight him yet, and that's happened multiple times. You've called me out more times than most people have called my name. So he claims to want the fight, and then, you know, constantly turning it away. For me, just sign the contract and let's get this episode over and done with. Like, I'm tired of hearing him talk the name. So I know once I finish him, it's just game over. No more talking, and he will get zero publicity from me after that.
Good stuff, man. That's probably the best way to end it. I hope this contract comes through soon, and we can put this date in the diary for later this year. As I think you said yourself, it's going to be one of the biggest UK MMA fights of all time. So fingers crossed it all comes to fruition. I'm sure it will, and best of luck, and no doubt I'll speak to you beforehand.
100%, man. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.